Look how big, like our waveforms. Look at that, small waveforms, and then Bill count 1 to 3.
1, 2, 3.
Look how much bigger that is.
Man, yeah,
that's big waveform energy.
Big waveform.
What is up, everyone? It is your boys from Melbourne, and we are back for a 25% special edition of the official NBA Beancast. So we've recently discovered that one of our cast members may have contracted a fairly deadly disease that has been on and off in the news for a little bit. So he is currently not with us at the present, but he is with us in spirit.
Hey, I don't have it. I just live with people who might have it.
As you may be able to tell, Bill has been reincarnated into a Samsung, and he is currently patched in.
We are channeling him through a smartphone and a speaker.
Yeah.
So we have the essence of Bill on the podcast. But
For anyone out there who's seen Stranger Things, I'm operating in the upside down. And it's not good. Not good here.
Good here.
I mean, problem number 1 is your brother. Problem number 2 is how are you going to cook? Like, you just got all these little logistical problems that come with having having a plague and living in a alternate reality.
So luckily, I told you guys, it's pretty good. Like, it's just precautionary. I'm not there. The odds that the virus exists here are quite low, but just there's that chance. So obviously we're not taking that chance. So we are 25% special edition today, as you said.
Yeah.
So as this is a 25% special edition, unfortunately we do not have Bill on the video, but we do have video now. And we are consistently recording. Please find our YouTube channel at
NBA Beancast on YouTube.
Please find our Twitter at
NBA Beancast.
And I know you can kind of sense a theme here, but please find our Instagram at
NBA Beancast.
And the same for our OnlyFans.
If you want to find young Jacob doing ASMR of audio editing, that is where you can go.
Hey, today.
So since obviously the NBA is still not yet back, we will be discussing a few other things about what's going on in the world and other sports, and also today we will be discussing our favorite athletes.
Yes.
Which is a topic from young Jacob. So
yes, believe it or not, I do actually watch some sports. It just doesn't happen to be ball sport. So there we are.
We already had this talk. Nothing without a ball counts. So.
Damn, bro. So you don't count fly fishing as a sport?
That's darts. I'll give darts, but yeah.
Yeah, darts is a real sport.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So today on the schedule, we'll be I've got a bit of quick trivia as usual. We can talk a bit of AFL. If Karan has any updates on the EPL, we can talk about that.
We're talking EPL, brother. Liverpool are champions. It's EPL's no. We good. We good.
So
we got La Liga.
Yeah, it's heating up. Yeah, that's true.
I got a few things to discuss about La Liga. Actually, it should be fun.
To get things started, guys, it's just another thing I stumbled upon. But guys, do you know who the top 10 richest NBA players of all time are?
As in terms of career
net worth,
playing earnings, or net worth?
Net worth.
Wait, Shaq,
no.
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, number 1 at 1.9 billion.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, obviously.
He's got that Looney Tunes money.
Wait, is Shaq not on there?
Shaq is on there. He's on there, but he wasn't number 1.
Oh yeah, of course he's not number like MJ. But then,
MJ's got that Looney Tunes money where Shaq only has that drink money.
All right, so Kobe Bean Bryant.
Kobe Bean Bryant is number 4 on the list.
Kevin Garnett.
Kevin Garnett's not there.
Oh no, okay, that's interesting because I know he led in career salary for quite a while.
Yeah.
LeBron.
LeBron's there.
LeBron's
there, just behind Kobe. He's at 480, while Kobe is at 500. But this is as of 2019, so who knows?
This is a bit of a wild card. Steve Nash.
Not Steve Nash.
Damn.
Not Steve Nash.
I feel like some of these guys would be very unexpected.
At least I would say 4 of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last 4 very unexpected. One of the top 3 very unexpected.
Oh,
Because you guys have got 4 and 5 and 6 as well, because that's Shaq. But you've missed number 2 and 3.
2 and 3. I'm trying.
Are they current players?
No,
Huh.
Charles Smith?
not Charles.
I was just thinking because he's a marketing executive.
That's-
Like,
yeah,
I don't
but
know if he's working.
Does it count their the total value of the contracts that they're currently signed to?
I honestly don't know, but there's no. LeBron James is the only current player on the list.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Oh shit. There you go.
Yeah, that's what I would have thought because they would have gone on and done things
Yes.
outside sports.
Yeah.
One of them is a Laker legend, and also another.
Magic.
Magic.
Yeah,
At
'cause-
600 mil, number 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
All
All right.
Let's see.
Number
Number 3. I wonder if you guys can get this one. He's number 6 is a bit of an interesting one. He started the Piston Group.
The Piston Group.
Yeah, former Detroit Pistons player.
Does he own part of the
Isaiah.
Pistons?
Can't be Isaiah.
Not Isaiah. I don't believe he owns any part of the Pistons. But as soon as he finished,
Then-
he started up a auto sales.
Is it Bill Laimbeer?
It is not. It is Vinnie Johnson.
Oh crap! Yeah, I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. Number 3, I don't think you guys will ever get. It's a bit of an interesting one.
Charles Smith.
Not Charles.
My
Damn,
man.
Bill's operating on Internet Explorer here.
I love Charles, but I already got that wrong.
This man purchased several. As soon as he finished up in the NBA, he took his earnings and invested in food franchises, specifically Wendy's. He now owns 160 Wendy's.
Oh shit! I've actually heard the story before.
I
I'm
have
so
heard
mad.
this also.
Also owns
like,
118 Chili's and is on the board of the PGA. Oof.
118 chilies. That's not much. It's only a couple of kilos.
This man is Junior Bridgman.
Yeah, I've heard of this guy before, but I would have never guessed like the name because I can't remember. He was not a memorable player.
No, but he is a memorable franchisee owner.
he is.
Invest your money, boys.
Best.
Let's see. This one, he's currently a.
Because this is a difficult trivia because a lot of these guys are people that you'd never expect since like it also accounts for like business acumen and stuff.
Yeah, and when did that guy last play as well? Like roughly, what was his era?
Oh boy.
We'd need Jinx on for this.
I've really thrown a spanner in the works.
No, don't get sidetracked with
Yeah.
Jacobs.
Yeah, because I was just saying because like depending on how long
Jacobs
ago it was,
tomfoolery.
you may not know.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know what I mean? Like because he could have just been an okay player.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then like if Kendrick Perkins started a bunch of Wendy's and became an overnight billionaire, I still would have no idea.
The keeper.
This guy often works with Kevin Harlan on the sidelines right now, but he was a 19-year Hall of Fame career with the Indiana Pacers.
Reggie Miller?
Reg. Yeah, Reg.
Not Reg. Oh,
What?
no, sorry. This guy was on the Sonics, was he? Sonics, yeah, Supersonics.
You are bugging, Paddy.
How did you get those switched up?
Yeah, I think you'll understand. I feel like they were kind of similar players. Shall I tell you the name?
Yeah, go for it.
Grant Hill.
Oh, what? Supersonics?
Where was he?
Pistons.
My bad. Wait, what?
Pistons.
Oh, my bad.
Magic.
I am
Jeez.
sorry.
I was like, wait, which former Supersonic is on the panel?
I was cooked. He said 19 years Seattle. I was thinking, huh?
All right. This next one, once I give you this little hint, you'll know it immediately.
So how did Hill make it big? Was it like investments or was it career earnings?
Wasn't he real
earned,
estate?
he earned about 142 million in his salary, and then and another 120 million in endorsements, and oh my goodness, $80 million shoe deal with Fila.
Yeah.
He was good,
And
man.
then
was-
he also was a part of the ownership group that purchased the Atlanta Hawks in 2015.
Damn.
Was he also good investing and making sure his microphone was closer to his mouth?
Is that my problem right now?
About a fist. In the words of the great Joe Rogan, about a fist away,
Did
Praddy.
I do it subtly enough? I don't know.
Go.
Is that better? Am I
Yeah.
speaking nice and
That's
clearly now?
better.
That's nicer.
All right. This next guy was taken about 3 rounds too early in our fantasy all-time draft.
John Wall.
Fantasy all-time draft,
Oh,
as in our.
I will like all the
All
registered.
right, I'm trying to figure out who you're disrespecting here. Is it David Robinson?
David Robinson.
He was not taken 3 rounds early. Maybe
According to Bill
One.
Temby.
Maybe 1 round.
he
Took
is
him like pick
he is a
10.
borderline.
Let me remind you, he's rated
top
97
15
on
guy.
2K's
Top
rating,
10, 15.
all-time rating.
No, I'm with you. He should be in that 10 to 15 range for sure.
And number 10 is. If I give you any hint, you're gonna get it immediately.
All right. Let us think. All right, not active.
Not active.
Not active.
Retired in 2002.
Oh shit.
Also rich.
Yes.
Played with MJ.
It's not Rick Fox, although I know he owns an esports team.
Chalk?
That was Echo Fox.
Hmm?
Yeah. Just because I follow esports, that I would mention that.
But yeah, like Rick Fox. It's Rick Fox.
Yeah. He earned a team called Echo Fox. Sorry. Yeah. And he retired in 2002. Won 2 rings, if I'm not mistaken. Had that amazing year. That really amazing year. He's invested in real estate and
Does not narrow it down
No.
at all. But those are good hints.
he had a very, very you'll know who I'm talking about when I say he had a very,
Who
very
retired
good
in 02?
single
man?
year.
just one good year.
No, he had several good years, but like 1 year it was
particular.
Allen Iverson.
no.
Yeah, I was thinking is it couldn't
2002.
be AI.
Yeah,
And
no.
also, just retired.
18 years.
That was a stupid guess.
Houston Rockets.
Houston Rockets. 2002.
T-Mac. No,
Hakeem.
can't be T-Mac.
T-Mac didn't retire in
Yeah.
2002.
Yeah.
It would've been
Hakeem
yeah.
Olajuwon, the dream.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, wow.
I don't know.
One very, very good year. Do you not understand?
Yeah, but like you know Hakeem for more than one very good
Yes,
year. The
but-
dude was an all-time great.
Yes, but he had a historically amazing 1 year when he won Depoy.
Yeah, but when you emphasize the one good year,
Yes,
you think
because
of dudes
that's
like
something
Allen
that's-
Iverson.
No, that's something that's like only 2 people have achieved
That's true.
that.
Three, brother.
That's true,
Three.
Brady. But yeah, I don't know. Hakeem was into property investment. Damn, that's
Flipping
crazy.
houses.
That's crazy. It just shows you though, right?
What do
Yeah,
you
one of
mean,
those
Kat?
shows.
Wait, man, Hakeem's very good with blocks, mate. Like, I'm not surprised.
But, like it just shows you like just making your income from your main revenue stream is not enough. Like you do,
Diversify.
do need to diversify. I mean, property investing is not diversifying, but you know,
No, but if you were basketballing and making money from that, and then you
passive
move into
income,
property-
passive income,
then
passive
you move it
income.
into property, then you have diversified.
Not really.
These are 2 people who are far too into business for
But
me.
yeah. Anyway,
Business.
Guys,
we got next, Brady.
Bill is now an Essendon Bombers fan again, it would seem.
No.
They've won 3 of their last 4. Here we
Get on
go.
board, boys. 2020 premiers.
For our
What more can I say?
non-Australian listeners, yes, Bill is a fake Essendon fan.
He's not. I don't support AFL because the organisation at its roots is absolutely terrible. It's basically, as the great young Tomer once quoted, the pits of Hades is piss. But that being said, the Essendon Bombers are playing some decent football. They actually beat, what day are we at today? Sunday. They beat Collingwood on
Yep, that's right.
Friday.
63-48.
quite a game. It's
good to watch.
Andrew McGrath, number 1 pick a few years back, coming good. What else?
Dylan Shield, big signing, playing well.
Who was the big signing?
Dylan Shield.
Dylan Shield, learning to hit targets on the same team. Not bad. What's his? No, the seriously for me, and I even said this last year when this guy played. Kaz, you might be aware. You'll be becoming more aware as the weeks go by. But Jordan Ridley,
Yeah, good
this
player.
guy might be the 3rd best player at Essendon, and I'm not taking the piss.
Wait,
that guy can,
So I'm guessing
can-
1 and 2 are McGrath
he can-
and Shield.
he can seriously play. Yeah, that'd be my 1 and 2. Jordan Ridley, man, he's an elite ball user. He's been very good one-on-one, and he's quick. He's deceptively quick. But anyway, on the AFL note, because fuck Essendon, I don't really care for them. They've kept me in the pits for however many years I've been alive for, except for when I was 4 years old. But on a whole, the the AFL season is not giving me much hope for what we're going to get from the NBA season, just in terms of
Yeah, it's been a bit
the way
dodgy,
it's
huh?
going. It's
Player
a bit of a
intelligence.
shit show. There's been no consistency, really, and I think the standard's been poor compared to recent years.
Agree.
And I think the variance in results, while it's been kind of, good that you're not rocking up to every week, and
I think basically what it's turned into is the teams that are more fit are just generally winning more games.
So then
It's not necessarily coming down to how well they play football. It's just how long can they keep it up for.
yeah, and I don't know. It's just I'm not really enjoying it. Like I've been watching, obviously, but it's been a bit of lackluster, how I'd describe it. I don't know. They've got to sort some shit out, because obviously they're at the end of next round. They're sending all the Victorian teams interstate, a couple of weeks late, but that's, the AFL's been the VFL for however long, and it still sort of is. So it's sort of and I've been big on it for a long time, and I'm kind of glad that it's happening now, because I think the Victorian teams are going to get a taste of what, the interstate teams are going to get a taste of what the Victorian teams get, in that, they are going to get 7 or 8 weeks straight in their home state, which they haven't had. So I think it's going to be really good for them. But then obviously the whole competition's already, it's just, I don't even know that it's, I don't know how to talk about it.
I think Praddy touched on an interesting point here, actually, in terms of the player intelligence, because we've got AFL players performing all sorts of off-field shenanigans.
You wouldn't perhaps be talking about the great steel side bottom.
Yes, the man with a bottom on a side made of steel.
Yes.
Yes, so we've got AFL players making about what a superstar AFL player makes about an NBA rookie contract, and they also have much less room for shenanigans, whereas the NBA is an absolute free-for-all.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine when the athletes that generally have less access to debaucherous activities, and also just generally, I feel like that footy players have to be a little bit more disciplined, because it's harder to get away with bad fitness if you play footy.
Yeah.
Because you've got to run so much. Like, if you got these guys messing around and not following regulations, can you just imagine what someone like J.R. Smith is going to do when he's in the bubble?
It's not even the fact that you can't run enough for the game, you'd just be injured.
Yeah, like that too.
Like a lot of hits, right? They spec you as well.
Yeah, but like if you've got steel side bottom out on the town on the piss, like, can you?
Yeah, exactly.
Just
I mean they do that.
It will be impossible to drop a Charles Barkley.
Yeah,
but they have been known to enjoy certain substances which you're not allowed, or legally not allowed to enjoy.
Well, look, as you've mentioned before, sports is all about how well can you get away with it.
Yeah. But the thing is, it's like, especially AFL, especially I think in Victoria, like, people really look up to them as idols.
Oh, I think it depends, right? If you've ever seen Jordan De Goey out on a Friday night,
yeah, but how often do you see, right, on the news where they'd be like, oh, an ex-football player went out and they got really drunk and did a lot of cocaine and were upset, and then they will get like a concerned mum on the news, and she's like, I just can't believe it. He's my son's idol, and I can't believe that these people who have a history of going out and doing silly things aren't actually good role models, right? But that's the thing, right? It's like always the argument with music is like, can you separate the person from the art?
It's like the great Charles Barkley said, I'm not a role model.
Yeah, exactly right. You can enjoy their music and you can idolize them for being an athlete, but they're not one to guide your life up.
To be fair, I think there's a little bit of a false equivalency, because like, this is a matter of public health. It's not just, what are the mums going to say?
Now it's
a matter of keeping everyone else safe.
Now it is, like with Corona and stuff, right? But as far as I was aware, you couldn't get secondhand cocaine addiction.
I mean, have you seen Jordan to go out on a Friday night?
Maybe you can.
I think there was one more person we do have to mention. Jacob, you wanted to drop a bomb on, drop a bomb about.
So one of the people who's really, really big, at least in the media for AFL, is Eddie Maguire.
My
which
favorite.
is a person I don't really enjoy. And I'd always had this thing. I'm like, what was he doing? Was he a sports star? Was he originally in the AFL? No, he's not. You already know. He was not in the AFL. He just got... So what happened was his brother was already working at one of the newspapers at the time when he started doing journalism. And they said, he's just like, hire my brother. And that's how he got in, right? So the only reason why he's synonymous with football is because he was writing about it. He was never in it. So I think that really changes your perspective. At least it changed my perspective of the fact that this person's never played a game.
All right. So for the listeners that aren't familiar, Eddie Maguire is a very popular media figure in Australia. And then he is also the president of the club of the player that we were just talking about, Steel Sidebottom.
Oh, yeah.
And
what a name.
Yeah.
It's like Never Longbottom, Steel Sidebottom.
No, that's an elite name. Imagine being named Steel. That is... But anyway, so Eddie Maguire actually said that players that are caught, they deserve $100,000 fines and extensive suspensions. But then when one of his players actually got caught breaking the restrictions, he completely just backflipped on it and said, the suspensions are a bit harsh. He should be commended for actually coming out and telling us that he broke the rules.
Yeah, and which essentially was, as soon as it was inconvenient for me, I'm upset.
This just summarizes Eddie,
like, man. If people aren't going to take this seriously, I feel like this bubble is just not going to work.
Not to mention, with some of those suburbs that have been locked down because people have been naughty and they've been spreading corona to everybody, that apparently a lot of the footballers fleed the day before because they gave them 24-hour notice.
Yep.
And they said suburbs will be locked down from here. And you're not allowed to leave.
Yeah, so one of Bill and my friends, her mum's boyfriend is now living...
Bruh.
Yeah.
Bruh, that's so bad.
They literally just left because they didn't want to be in lockdown. It's crazy.
They shouldn't be doing that.
But like if they're going to stay in one place, and it's fine.
Yeah.
Guys, I guess talking about the bubble does help us transition the conversation to the NBA situation right now. Because a report just came out that and it's what I was alluding to last week, is that the workers will not be remaining within the bubble. They are free to go and come as
they makes sense.
And they are living directly right in the middle of all the hotspots in Florida.
Makes sense.
Which is basically the entire place.
You're just going to have a Ridges and Swanston effect.
Oh, and then also you've got I think 5% of the NBA tested positive.
I mean...
And it's an exponentially spreading disease. So exactly what you want is a bunch of people that are actually infected living together in a bubble.
I don't know how much it matters anymore
in Florida.
For America. Because they recorded 35,000 new cases yesterday.
Yes.
Just like, it's done.
My whole thing with this bubble, right, is like, I mean, no disrespect to these boys, but
yes,
like, I feel like for as long as guys like Landry Shamet and Dwight Howard and these guys, when they're getting the virus, I don't think it's going to be seen as like a big deal, right? But then can you imagine we're 2 weeks into the NBA thing and like just imagine like Paul George gets it. LeBron
I don't think we'd notice if Paul George got it. If LeBron James did, it would be a completely different story.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
saying Paul George will get it and people will take notice is like saying Anthony Davis will get it and people will take notice. No one cares about these guys. And they're not relevant.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you want to be on the podcast, fellas. Then you are.
It's my whole thing. Like with the AFL, I keep saying to my mates, I'm saying, like the AFL come out when Connor McKenna, had the minor positive test, whatever it was. They come out saying our priority is the players' safety, and then they schedule for Brisbane to come and play a game in Melbourne the next week.
Yeah.
What? I don't get it. And I feel like the NBA is saying the same. Like I trust Adam Silver a lot more than I trust the AFL board. But at the same time, it shouldn't take a high personnel player to get this for them to, sort of take it a bit more seriously. Because obviously these guys are super fit, but you never know. Like it affects everybody differently. And I think it's kind of poor to see that that they are saying, well, we're going ahead regardless of people not coming to play. I find that bit kind of stupid and hard to believe.
It's very similarly confusing for the NBA because like Jinx was saying it last week as well, is that like in the beginning, Rudy Gobert had some symptoms. They shut it down immediately.
Perfect.
And now there's, 25 players testing positive and they're like, oh no, we're still
going ahead.
We're still going
really
ahead.
bad.
At this point, I have to say, Kyrie was completely right.
Yeah, but to be fair, Kyrie's concerns were not health related.
No, but he's still right. I mean, and I wanted to mention this as well, is that I feel like the push to get the NBA back is still very fishy because
I don't think it's fishy at all. I think it makes complete sense. They're just trying to protect their bottom line.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's all it is. It makes money. Total sense.
Yeah, because the idea of putting Black Lives Matter painted on the sidelines or players get to put their statements on their jerseys is like people will notice that the first day and they'll be, oh, that's pretty cool, and then they won't care about it. Like the spectacle and the object that they're there to watch is the NBA. They're not going to take notice of LeBron James's jersey says group economics.
Yeah.
Oh no, that was on the list of
it could even have the opposite effect too with fans as well. Like if you go, oh, that's weird, they're not playing as well, and they have that weird slogan on their shirt. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll tell you what would
jump to conclusions.
I'll tell you what would really make people take notice though, if LeBron James had a free Hong Kong across the back of his jersey.
Well, that's the thing. They had to make a list just to make sure. So the entire there's a list of exact things.
Yeah,
that they have on their jerseys.
I have many problems with this, but I feel like that'd be another podcast on its own.
Because
that Sharpie can't solve.
So what I'm gonna say, right, is with this whole bubble, my big problem with it, right, is like a player's gonna get a positive test during the thing. Like I have no doubt in my mind that the number of cases we're seeing in Florida on the daily, I feel like it's inevitable. And then my whole problem with it is whatever they set the bar at, that just has to be it. They can't bring in this bullshit of like, if the first positive test is like a 12th string guy, it should not make a difference if it's the bottom of the Clippers list or Kawhi Leonard tested positive. As soon as they make a decision on what the protocol is, they have to stick with it. I don't want any of this bullshit. Like I saw something in the AFL saying, like on the media saying Steel Sidebottom should be let off easier because of his status in the game. And I thought,
Eddie Maguire.
That's a load of shit. I thought that's got nothing to do with it. And so I just really hope that the NBA, I don't care like what happens with it. That's all I'm saying. That once they've made a decision, they can't bring in this bullshit of like, oh, it doesn't matter as much because this guy only plays like 2 minutes every second game. Nah, I don't want to hear it.
So what you're saying effectively is that regardless of status, they need to stick by the protocols that they are going to enact. It doesn't matter. Yep. No, I get that. I'm 100% behind that.
I guess we can. Is there anything else about the other wide world of sports you wanted to mention?
Yeah, so, it's getting pretty interesting out in the football world. So
Hey! You talking about my Browns out in Cleveland?
No, yeah. There's nothing. There's nothing interesting going on there. I'm talking about a completely different football.
I know. I'm so sad.
There is never anything interesting going on with that dumpster fire of a franchise. The most interesting thing will be how will they manage to f*** it up again with the players that they've got now. And I am sorry, and I am apologizing for my foul language, but the Cleveland Browns do this to me. Every single time I hear about how they're going to be good for the next year, I just think, what have you guys been paying? Have you guys been watching the previous seasons of football? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who they get in. They are going to suck. Until they get a competent quarterback, until they get, the defense is pretty good. Until they get a competent quarterback and until they get a competent front office, they are going to suck. They have always sucked and they will continue to suck for the remainder of their history until they make a dramatic change.
Phew. Thank you, Stephen A. Smith.
I just had to get that out. Sorry, boys. But then, So off the Cleveland Browns, because this team raises my blood pressure so much. There are interesting things going on in other sports. So, for example, Bill, I'm sure you are aware, Lionel Messi, probably the second most famous footballer in the world, is actually threatening to resign from his team if they don't kick out the president.
The man,
Damn.
the man is like, I don't know, man. I thought like,
Sorry, context?
Okay, so the club president, so Messi plays for Barcelona. It is
Yes.
probably the biggest team in the world.
Mm.
yeah,
So
objective.
Barcelona have an extremely incompetent president. So you know how you've got James Dolan?
Yes.
More control in the organization and worse. So
Well,
they have a
But they
James.
also have like LeBron James playing for their team.
Yes.
Okay.
So- so-
Nah, bro. Don't you ever disrespect my man Leo Messi like that. This man is that good. Like, imagine Michael Jordan, right? Imagine MJ, but like 3 times as good. That's where Messi is, bro. That's where Messi is. Like, man, I don't care what happens if I'm on the board at Barcelona. Like, if Messi said that they need to hire his child to play striker, bro, I'm paying his child 50 million to come play.
So
striker.
what I was gonna get at was, can you, like, the analogous situation here would be LeBron being, all right, I'm gone unless you get rid of James Dolan. Like,
I don't know about in the NBA in terms of getting rid of the owner, because the owner has such pull. But man, it's Leo Messi. Like, this man is literally.
yeah, but then you
like
shouldn't.
a
You should.
god.
I feel like you shouldn't be enacting such decisions just because your player says it. I mean, the dude is incompetent. He has to go. But like, you shouldn't be making board decisions based on what the player says, regardless of who the player is. This is how you
I
end up
agree.
with Manchester United post Sir Alex Ferguson.
I agree, but I also think that we're transitioning into a time where the players do have more of a say. And so I think while I fully agree with you that like a player should never be able to essentially be like, oh, like you have to fire them, whatever. I fully agree that they should be allowed to say, like, unless you fire them, I'm not playing. Then they can be like, well, fine, like, you're not playing, we'll trade you, whatever, blah blah blah. But I do think that the players having a voice in how their franchise operates is definitely a positive thing. I don't really see how it can be negative unless the owner is like obviously a complete James Dolan type of
operator like Mark Bartomeu is. See, the other thing with this situation is Barcelona is a fan-owned team. This is actually fairly common in European in European football, where like the fans own the team and then they vote in a president.
Oh.
So
Democracy.
so he's actually voted it. So the fans get a greater say in how the team is run.
That's interesting.
Which is also how you end up with the team spending about 80 or 90% of its wages on turnover on player wages, which is insane, which had never happened in American sports.
No.
But yeah, so that's there is a bit of give and take with that. But then yeah, that's how this really became a thing, because he doesn't really own the team, but he runs the team. And then he makes some very silly decisions. So I'm just wondering, how do you think this would go if this happened in other sports like the NBA? Like if LeBron joined the Knicks, or if he said, I will not join the Knicks until you get rid of James Dolan, or unless the owner leaves. Do you think that there could be anyone in the organization that could actually force the owner to sell the team? Because I can't imagine that this would fly in any other sports league.
Because as you said, like it's direct ownership, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like James Dolan would get nothing for resigning.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, if he sold the team, he gets all that money. A lot of money.
But yeah, but yeah, obviously it's an investment owning a franchise. Yeah, I don't think I could see it happening. I can't think of any sporting league really where it's possible.
Right. So then the question that I want to pose is that, do you think it'd be more beneficial if NBA teams were fan owned?
No.
Nah.
Because fans are idiots, man. Like, look
at Barcelona.
Bro, what do you mean, bro? Go on Twitter and look at all the Laker fans. I don't want to hear it, bro. Like, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. And not to mention, depending on which team it is, like the Lakers is way more well known than, I don't know, the Jazz, for instance, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have way more input on one team than the other, and they're going to be wasting resources because they have to sift through more votes.
So, but here's the thing that like Barcelona is like one team that's fan-owned. That's not the case for all the teams.
Not all the teams, no, but there are a lot of fan
So it wouldn't necessarily be like all the teams in the NBA. It would perhaps be like if it was just the Utah Jazz, it would be like their dedicated fan base.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think that having some teams that are owned by the fans would be beneficial for the league as a whole?
Well,
I don't think
here's the
so.
thing, and I don't know anything about this. That's why I'm asking. But with Barcelona, like, can't they just have a stupidly large amount of trolls, for example, saying no, you should do this?
Oh, yeah.
How does that work?
So you've actually got to pay to be an owner.
So it's like the like AFL membership.
Kind of, except the barrier to entry is much like you got to pay a lot more money.
Okay.
So you have a vested interest in the team doing well because when the team increases in value, your stake value increases as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
like I don't see any problem with it because
that's all right if it's like that.
I don't think even if you're completely stupid, like if you're completely stupid, you probably don't have enough money to put a stake in a team anyway.
Well,
I mean, there's James Dolan.
But
I raised you the Charlotte Hornets.
Well, look, no one ever looks to Michael Jordan for how to run a team.
Yeah. But the other thing I was wondering is it limited geographically? So can only an American buy in for a share of a team?
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, because
so with Barcelona,
that could get a bit messy as well.
Yeah, because
nice.
So you need to actually because for the fan-owned football teams, you actually need to be able to show up to meetings as well. So there's like I can't. There's like a lower threshold of how many meetings you have to show up for.
See,
Do you
I
actually
don't
have to show up in person, or
you actually have to show up in person.
I can't zoom in.
Nah, America's too like international now. So I don't think it would work at all.
Yeah.
And we don't need to comment on the intelligence of our friends in Freedom Land in terms of decision making.
And not to mention, like, you got other political interests potentially as well, like with how large NBA is in China and that whole dispute about who was it with the Hong Kong?
Daryl Morey.
Yeah.
Like that could throw even more spanners in. You know what I mean? It's just I think it's an interesting idea. I just don't know how practical it is.
Yeah, and one thing that I will mention, I can't recall if there are any fan-owned teams in the EPL, but I can only think of a couple in Spain, and then Germany, most of the teams are as well.
Okay.
But like this is not common, but I feel like it's just an interesting concept.
I do think so.
Because like there's an NFL team actually that's fan-owned. The Green Bay Packers.
Oh yeah, you mentioned them. Yeah. You have to. Okay.
So I feel like on one hand you've got
President.
you've got a greater vested interest in the team doing, because like the fans actually care about the teams.
Yeah.
But then a lot of fans are not that intelligent, and if the barrier of entry is that you pay money, you could actively tank.
Are they seeing any of the money?
The Packers fans?
Yeah. So any of the people that are fan owners, do they see any of the money, or is it just thank you for your gold coin donation?
I think it's thank you for your gold coin donation, and I think
it's a bit better.
I think the value of your investment.
Yeah, because the only thing I could think of was if you've got people who have come in, they've got a whole bunch of money, and they've bought their share for, I don't know, $5,000 or whatever it may be. But you know, as we were saying before, like some teams will be pulling in different types of people, right? So you know, especially if you're talking about international people wanting to buy in, those people are going to go for the biggest teams.
Yeah,
exactly. So they're the ones that they know, right? Unless they know something that I don't know, which is
I agree, and I reckon it would just end up sort of turning into an EPL operation. Like it's obviously different, but in terms of where it's just dominated by funding heavy teams, like that's why we see very little different. Like when's apart from Leicester, when's the last time a random ass team come along and won the league? Like you couldn't tell me the answer. Like it's ridiculous.
I mean, Liverpool won this year.
That was a good alley-oop by me. You're welcome. Yeah, but no, I like the concept that we're sort of hitting at of like getting not feedback, but like sort of making an informed decision based on, number one, the players. I think they would probably have the greatest understanding sort of how the organization's running internally. But then I also think listening to the fans would definitely be a big one. And the one that I thought
It
of
also drive engagement. Like the fans
Huge.
care more about the team because they have like really invested money into the team.
Yeah, you just look at the sports membership,
like directly into the team. Yeah,
for AFL clubs.
The one I thought of straight away instantly was Golden State and how quickly that they've transitioned. Obviously, they've got the fan backing now, and then the franchise goes, well, of course we'll pull out a new stadium, better facilities, everything, and I think that's definitely the way to go. I really. I can't say that like fully having fans or a player having the ability to sort of make big choices in terms of executives for the franchise would ever be great in the long run. But
because like you could end up again with like the Barcelona situation where they just end up spending all their money on players and the team is in a very precarious financial position because of the fact that the fans are the ones running the team.
Yeah.
They don't really like it's the business model is not sustainable. Yeah. It's all about trying to put the best team on the park as often as possible. And I feel like while that is admirable, like the club needs to be able to exist long term. I don't know what's like no one knows what's going to happen to these guys once Messi leaves.
Yeah.
He's the only person holding that team together right now.
And I don't know what other controls they have about the club other than who runs it and two, who's playing. But there are other things to take into account as well, like merchandise being a huge one. I'm not sure if it's so big or if it's as large in...
Oh, it's massive.
I know that... Like,
no, it's huge.
Jerseys okay, so other things as well.
It's huge.
So probably bigger.
Because that's a massive thing for an organization like that to be able to diversify their income.
One thing I will say about the kit deals, the teams themselves don't actually make a lot of money on them.
Right.
It's mostly the sponsors. They get a small cut, the teams do. But then it's mostly the sponsors themselves.
Well, that's even the other thing as well. You know, you got to keep your sponsors happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
So like if you put out a crap team every single year.
Yeah, that's potentially even worse.
Yeah, like the team that I follow, Manchester United, we've got a huge kit deal with Adidas.
Yeah.
But then we also have a clause in the contract where if we don't make the Champions League for 2 years in a row, we lose, I think, 10% of the value of the contract over the life of the contract.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a huge financial incentive to stay good.
Yeah.
And then another interesting ownership structure is that my team, Manchester United, is publicly listed. So you can actually buy shares in Manchester United.
Wow. That is, So like I could just walk up and...
Yeah, like you can buy Manchester United shares on the New York Stock Exchange.
Guys,
that's interesting. It's on the MY.
The NBA Beancast now owns Manchester United.
The owners are American.
They
are pricks. I hate them.
I just thought that, I was going to say, because that's an interesting choice.
Yeah, so I'll just go into it really quickly. They bought us out in a leverage buyout. Yeah. So our club now has a huge amount of debt, which is not productive and which we have to slowly pay off.
Well, that's good.
And the owners are taking out massive chunks of money and they don't invest anything. Every cent that we spend is basically the revenue that we generate.
Yeah.
But we're very financially healthy because our CEO is a genius at making money, even though he's terrible at actually investing it in the players.
Yes.
But we're going in a better direction now.
It's a very GM way of doing things.
It's a very American way of doing things.
Yeah. Like General Motors is like, strip it down.
Funny that you mentioned that. Chevy is our shirt sponsor.
There you go.
All right, that's a good spot to we'll take a quick break and then we'll come back for a little fun little thing we're doing for this episode. We as Karan mentioned, we'll be looking at our sports idols, so to say.
Yep.
Or our favorite athletes, however you want to say that.
Yep.
So we'll see you guys in a short while.
All right.
A gin kill will feature very heavily. And we are back from our pit stop. So,
pit stop. That's funny because yours is motorsport.
I've got a motorsport one as well. That's why I use pit stop.
Okay.
But yeah, so I'm back from our pit stop, and now we, as discussed in the intro, we'd like to go into a segment that young Jacob actually brought up.
Yeah.
Since we are all sports fans of a type, like Jacob, obviously not a ball sport fan, but Bill follows most of the same sports I do. Prad's a huge NBA fan and an esports fan and a few other bits and bobs here. I thought it would be a great idea to discuss our favorite athletes.
Yeah.
So, who wants to take it away first, boys?
Well, let's get Bill to do it. See if he's listening. And if he says anything dumb, we can just turn down his volume.
Well,
He's not prepared anything.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like he's prepared.
Call him out.
I was gonna go like after one of you based on like.
All right, cool.
All right.
Do you want me to go first
Yeah,
then?
you can go first.
Yeah, you can go.
All right, so
I say my back is really sore from carrying Bill.
Shall we all just do one round and then one round?
yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right, I just got to stretch out my back real quick. Shoulders feeling a bit sore. Been carrying Bill this whole podcast.
Difficult job.
But yeah, anyway, so sorry, Bill. Since we've all right, so let's start off. So like, obviously, we all know the big names like Muhammad Ali, LeBron James, Michael Jordan. I don't really want to discuss those guys because I feel like what more is there to be said? Everyone knows or likes / respects them except Bill and LeBron. So I was thinking I'd probably do like talk about a different kind of athlete that I thought was interesting.
Yep.
So for me, one of them would be the F1 driver James Hunt. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
No, not with him. No.
There's a British Formula One driver. He won the 1976 Constructors' Championship.
Oh, wow. It's going back.
This goes way back. We're going back Jinx days, man. So, like, there was actually a movie about him that came out a few years ago called Rush. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
It's worth watching, but yeah, it's a really interesting story. So for me, I picked James Hunt because I thought he's a very interesting character. What we see of athletes these days are all very media trained. Like, I don't think this is a bad thing necessarily because you need to be able to attract sponsors, but they're all very media trained. I feel like a lot of the answers that you get from them are very manufactured. And I feel like the public persona that you see is not actually what these guys are like.
No, not at all.
And I think it's a little bit sad, and I think it kind of results in us not being very engaged with some of these athletes because like you can't relate to them.
Yeah,
and
I think that's what strength of extreme sports has. It's because like they're already crazy people anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, the sponsors know what they're getting themselves into. And typically like there's a whole like there've been people were laughing about skateboarding in the Olympics just because of like how many skateboarders smoke weed. Well, that was the thing that I was reading online that people were like, this is silly. But anyway.
Yeah, so it can be hard to connect with these figures, but then you've got someone like James Hunt, who was an absolute wild man. Like, you talk about smoking weed, did that openly. He couldn't attract sponsors for like the first 3 or 4 years of his career.
You're busy smoking weed.
No, because like
it's just a character.
But there's like that general perception of him that he's like a bit of a nutcase. Like, the brands didn't really want to touch him.
Yeah.
So it was like, you know how expensive Formula One is, right?
It's just
the money that goes into it is ridiculous.
How much was the steering wheel again alone? It was like 40 grand or something.
Yeah, something stupid like that. And like, how this guy started his career was he started in the lower divisions like most drivers do. Yeah. But then on his way up, since he couldn't get a team to like actually sponsor him, one of his friends bankrolled the whole operation. So he had like a super rich lord type friend who bankrolled the first car that he drove. So it was like a Hesketh. It was a fairly dodgy car, but then he did quite well. Yeah. And there were no sponsors at all. Can you imagine like a pro athlete in a sport like Formula One without sponsors?
The amount of team you have to have behind the person who isn't even driving the car is insane.
Exactly. Yeah. So then, like he's an absolute wild man. Like, I feel like he was very authentic, which is what I really liked about him. And like, there's a famous photo of him just standing there in his overalls with no sponsors, except one sticker on his chest that said "Sex Breakfast of Champions." And I thought it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then, like he kind of cleaned up his, not really cleaned up his image, but he actually got sponsored by a major team, won the championship, and had a few other years in racing, retired, and then, just led the broadcast life for a little bit, and then died of a heart attack in 1991.
Yeah.
But at the age of 45. But then, I just thought he was a super interesting personality because he kind of takes away that PR veneer that you have around most athletes.
Yeah, and it seems like F1 is such a gentleman sport as well. You know what I mean?
The champagne at the end.
Oh, I mean, you got Kimi Räikkönen, but then yeah.
But it's like there's individuals, right? Like you can't say there's a like
the sport as a whole is more civilized than something like boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like even though cricket's doesn't have the squeakiest clean image, I still see it as like the gentleman's sport. It's just like one of those things that's sort of just carried over from way back when.
But then if you've actually played cricket, you know it's far from the gentleman's
Yes,
sport.
exactly.
You talk so much shit.
Exactly. I mean, Shane Warne, but anyway.
more than any other sport, you talk the most shit when you play cricket.
Perfect.
Shall I then?
Yep.
Go for it.
All right. So for me, the first one I'll say is a guy that you guys, Karan and Bill, know that they'll know him very well, and they know that I like him a lot. It's Derrick Rose.
Hey.
I mean, look, I can't identify with being surrounded from a young age with fairly good basketball talent, and being and growing up in that kind of neighborhood. I can't identify with that. But what I did really fall in line with was it was about a 2-year gap between him being traded from Chicago going to New York, which is basically more depressing than anything I've experienced.
Brother.
And, being sent to Cleveland, in which he had the opportunity, but he couldn't perform as well due to injury, and then it gets waived after he gets sent to Utah, and then makes a career resurgence through Minnesota and now Detroit. And it's like, for me, that period, seeing how he could go through such lows and then get to such highs, because for me, around that time, I had a similar rough period. I failed a semester at uni, then I joined a basketball competition, and we barely managed to make quarterfinals. We won the first game, go to semifinals. Our best player's like, oh, peace out, guys. I'm gonna go play in another team's game. So he wasn't playing for us that game. We had a chance to win. I missed the game-winning shot. And then, year later, I start playing again with another team. Season's going well, probably playing the best basketball of my life. And I break my hand. Then I go to Japan. Well, around that period is when I really started following what D-Rose was doing. Because he was,
Because he was on your fantasy team.
On my fantasy team, but also I just happened to watch that 50-point game.
Yep.
Like you couldn't not. It would have been impossible to watch that and not and become a fan if you weren't already.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But then, after I realized, because then I was in Japan after that, and it was. I don't want to talk about it too much, and I'm sorry for the language. But it was awful. It was awful. I was depressed, and once I finally got back, I was still feeling really bad about things, but just knowing that someone could go, I mean, the guy was an MVP. Then 8 years later, he didn't even get to play half of those 8 years, and he had a season averaging 5 points a game. I mean, and to know that guy can come back and do as much as he's doing now, become a coveted player in the league, is I know that I can, at least in my life, I can make turn things around. So. Yeah,
Great story, Brady.
Yeah.
Kind of shows you the best of what sports can do for a person.
Yeah.
I'm with you. D Rose, man, it would take a lot. How many guys have we seen have a it was a career-ending injury. It truly was. How many guys have we seen have that, and they just they just say there's no point in them coming back, because number one, they of the opinion, obviously, that they're never going to get back to that level. And then number two, that there's always the chance of doing it again.
And he did do it again.
And we saw that with Derrick.
It was his meniscus, but
but then it was his meniscus. And then it was his meniscus again.
Yeah.
I mean, he really came back from the lowest of lows, I feel, as a player.
And now he's successful.
Yeah.
Relatively successful again, yeah.
And that just gives me hope every day.
Yeah, no, that's a great story.
Yeah, it was good.
I have a pretty good one here.
All right.
I'm just gonna paint the picture of the absolute athlete that I'm about to describe.
This is Dwayne Leverock, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
No. This is just imagine this, right? Imagine what I'm going to describe to you, and then I'm going to give you boys a multiple choice answer form,
All
right?
eyes closed, guys.
Here we go. At least 25 years older than your average peak professional. 5'7", overweight. All right, now your options to choose from are A, everyone's father sitting on the couch at home on a Sunday. B, world champion.
Shane Warne.
That's it. That's who you boys.
I actually think I know who this is.
You're gonna know who it is.
Is it
I
that?
know who this is.
Is it
This man, 16-time world champion, Phil Taylor.
Yeah.
Absolute madman. I just think anyone who can make a career out of and be like essentially the best in the world at drinking beers and throwing darts, like what more do you need?
Oh, do you guys know who Phil Taylor is?
No,
I
but
think I can figure it out now.
every
get up
darts player ever.
Get up a photo of him for the boys.
He's he's one of the most dominant athletes ever.
Yeah.
He's a
and
freak.
we'll edit one in as well for those watching.
Absolute.
Like,
he is built like Nikola Jokic, but smaller.
but
Okay,
5'7".
I see it. I see it.
I've seen this guy.
Absolute freak.
Yeah.
But I think it just goes to show, just find something you love doing, and if that's drinking beers and throwing darts, just become the best in the world at it. Like what?
Shout out young Tomo. Loves punching a dart.
What more? I think it's unbelievable the traction darts has as a sport for what it is. Like at the very base of darts, there is very little complexity revolving around this sport, and just I don't know, it just fulfills a lot of people. They love it. I think it's a good thing.
If you could dominate it, then I mean.
And I regularly tune in.
Yeah, have you ever played darts before? It's not easy.
I have. I got blackout drunk and tried it.
It's not easy.
I mean, as Kaz knows, the young man, the great Van Gerwen, he's on the way. He'll probably hunt down Phil Taylor's records. He's in the darts world. Van Gerwen's just a child. He's got decades left.
Yeah, and you only get better the more beers you've had in you as well. He's only just started becoming a truck. He's got years of potential.
I think, Phil Taylor, but I think because he was like the epitome of darts for like a very, very long time. Essentially dominated the sport. Only really sort of not been the number one guy in sort of the last few years. But yeah, I love Phil. I love the darts. Like I always tune in when it's on. It's hype as. Like I don't get it. They just throw a dart 180 and the crowd just goes bloody mental.
And the crowds that they attract are huge as well.
Yeah, but I just thought it just goes to show that you don't need to be 6'6", 220 pounds of muscle. You can be 5'7", overweight, old.
Yeah,
punching darts, drinking beers, and still be a world-class athlete.
That's right. I mean, and as I think Jacob said, you've got a similar operation in Shane Keith Warne back in his day.
Hey, Warney's in better shape now than he ever was in his career.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. 10
plastic surgeries and Jenny Craig's later. You have current Warney.
What's his hair regrowth thing called
Ashley
again?
Martin.
Yeah, far out. There you go.
Shout out LeBron James. Hey Bill, what's a better comeback? I got 3 for you.
All right. You know the answer, but I know the answer, but we're going to do it anyway.
2016 NBA Finals.
Brad, do you remember that?
2007 Adelaide Oval Test.
2007 Adelaide Oval Test, right?
The one that we came back and won on like the last day.
What about was it 2017 when Gaz took 6 in the final session? That was pretty good as well.
Yeah, that's crazy. But this is the Ashes though. And then the last one.
Fuck the Ashes.
The last one.
Poms are garbage anyway.
LeBron James's hairline. What you got?
I mean, if we're talking in terms of like how difficult it was to come back, if you look at LeBron James's hairline, brother, there was no coming back from that. I mean, I don't know how he's done it, human growth hormone, but
no, that makes you lose hair.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure how he's done it after with this Miami rejuvenation. I'm sadly not on camera to show some quotation marks. Be pretty difficult to regrow your hair whilst taking extensive amounts of HGH.
I think it's one of the more incredible athletic feats of the 21st century. If I'm being honest.
I'm truly of the opinion that once LeBron's retired and everything, he will probably I assume he'll open up like an advanced hair studio sort of operation, and I have no doubt that his career and failures in the NBA Finals will be swiftly forgotten after his successful hair regrowth company takes off.
Hey, who knows? Maybe once the stress of losing all those finals is gone, maybe the hair will actually stay in his head. So the next,
bro. Nah, but bro, you can't tell me that like in like 2017 when they're down 2-1, you can't tell me he doesn't wake up in the middle of the night having nightmares about, you know, those Mavs boys in 2011. I don't see it happening, brother. I don't see it.
Probably having nightmares of JJ Barea. Anyway, so second round.
Oh, Jacob,
I've done my first one. Yeah.
Whoa.
I've done my first one.
Jacob,
Yeah.
all right.
So my first one is Scotty Kramer. I first came aware of Scotty Kramer through his YouTube video. So Scotty is a professional BMX rider.
Mm-hmm.
He has won 9 BMX X Game medals, 3 gold, 3 silver, and 3 bronze. The only other person to have ever done that is Dave Mirra. Legend Dave Mirra is one of the most prolific people in the entire sport. And Scotty was able to do that too. He has a couple of world firsts in his name as well. Front flip tail whip, seat stand front flip, and X Factor 2 tail whip. I'm sure there's more as well, but that's all I could find on the internet. Apparently, way more difficult to find out who invented the tricks, which is kind of funny.
Is he a recent BMX rider?
He's been around for a while. I think he started like appearing on the X Games in I want to say the early to mid 2000s,
right?
Because he's in his 30s.
But then the sport was pretty mature by then, right?
Yeah.
So then like it's actually a pretty big deal that he was able to land.
Dude, it's insane. Like he's done a whole lot. He was I think when he was younger, he did a lot of big tricks. But now when he was when he was riding and he was older, he did a lot more technical stuff.
Right.
So he's done a bit of everything. And the reason why he stands out to me is because he went from he was like on the top of his game. He was, I don't know, he just seemed like such a charismatic, such an energetic person. And then in 2016, he suffered a brain and spinal injury. Very tragically so. He was filming a video, and he got the trick done. He rode away, and they looked at it, and they went, I could do that better, actually.
Oh, boy.
So he went to do it again, landed the trick perfectly. He was rolling away, and he went to bunny hop off the piece of concrete, so like in an old construction site or something.
Yeah.
And his front wheel went into like a big pothole, and he hits it, and he just goes straight away, just like that, like head over bars, straight into the ground. He was wearing a helmet. He'd always worn a helmet. He was a big advocate of helmets. He's like extremely responsible as well, compared to many other characters in the extreme sports world. And he ended up having so he broke his back, or his neck rather, I think. He had hemorrhaging on the brain as well. They actually had to took a piece of his skull away to relieve pressure. So now he's got a fake forehead, essentially, and fake teeth and stuff because he smashed all his teeth. He went to rehab. A lot of this was documented, by the way. If you want to check out his YouTube channel, go do it. He's probably one of the most inspirational people I could think of. He went from not being able to feed himself, and now he's riding his bike again.
Oh boy!
Wow.
Like he's still a bit slow in his right side, and he's not doing the big tricks like he used to, but he's able to get on his bike and ride it around.
Yeah,
which was something that the doctors didn't think was possible.
Right. Can he still speak and communicate as he used to be able to?
Yeah. He's perfectly fine with communication, no issues.
That's amazing.
And like cognitively, his brain still
seems to be fine. He seems to be fine. The only thing is, I don't think his body can regulate his temperature very well anymore. But I think that's why he moved to Florida actually, because he was in New Jersey.
There's one good thing about that shit.
But yeah, he went through hell, and he is still probably one of the most positive people on YouTube, right? Or maybe even in BMX. He's just he's just amazing. He really is. To go from that like a sport that's so athletic to what he had to do, where he was wheelchair bound and couldn't feed himself, and or at least it was very hard for him to eat by himself.
Jeez, like the brain damage as well. That's.
Yeah, so he went through a lot, and he's come out the other side, and you can see he now films all the time. So
I'll definitely check it out.
So he's moved from being like the star of the channel as such to being the filmer, but like you're still there for Scotty.
Yeah,
because he's got such a personality.
Oh boy,
right? He's just a fantastic character. He really is. And yeah, he's like when that crash happened, like when I found that, because I was following him from probably that 50,000 subscribers, right? So his channel's quite small. I think it's over 1 million now. When that crash happened, because I'd watched him every day, like every release, I'd watch it straight on the day. And that really shook me. Like I cried. Like that was hard. That was really weird. That was the first time I think I've cried for somebody I didn't actually know.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was a hard one. And he does updates now and again about his injury, how he's improving, and he's improving all the time. And so he's my first pick.
Yeah,
incredible. Yeah, no, that's probably the best one so far.
What a fantastic comeback.
Yeah,
the best kind of.
I don't know how we're gonna top that.
Yeah, all right, let's move past the somber
Bill
mood.
just brings up, I don't know, Donald Trump playing tennis,
brother. Nah, golf. That's where the man's at. But yeah, so let's do round 2. Any volunteers to go first, or do you want me to go?
We can just keep the current order. That's right.
Sweet. Yeah,
sweet. So as I might have, well, I don't know if I've actually mentioned this on the podcast, but most of the teams that I follow in most of the other sports, I kind of pick them arbitrarily. Like the Boston Celtics, I picked them because like they were one of the first teams that I watched.
Yeah,
and I liked watching Paul Pierce, but like I didn't have like a personal reason to follow the Celtics. The Saints I did because I grew up in the area.
Okay.
The St Kilda Saints for the AFL, for anyone that's not aware. Then like the Pittsburgh Steelers, like I've got some familial connections in that used to live in Pittsburgh, but again, like it was kind of arbitrary. One team that was not an arbitrary selection for me was Manchester United. My entire family goes for United, from like my grandparents down. And yeah, like I basically had no choice. I was indoctrinated from when I was very little. And most of my like childhood sporting memories are from watching Manchester United actually on cricket.
Yeah.
So yeah, then I would say that the only team that I really, really care about beyond a superficial level would be United. Because of all like the memories that I have associated watching them play. So it was really important for me to be able to pick one player from Manchester United.
Yeah.
So for me, that would probably be Paul Scholes. So he was a midfielder, and he really broke out with the first team in 1994. So 1992. Sorry. It's a very famous class of players, and they all came into the academy together, and they all kind of grew up and played for United. But they all became first team superstars. But then like the player that played his whole career for Manchester United and was like a superstar for the majority of that time was Paul Scholes. And Scholesy was incredibly loyal to the team.
Yeah.
So there were points in time where other teams offered him better money, better salary, better locations, because Manchester is it's a bit dreary from everything that I've ever heard. But like, he's a local lad, never wanted to leave, never had an agent.
Right.
So he said, why would I need an agent if I just want to re-sign with the club?
Yeah.
Like that's all he was ever going to do. So then there's a team, Inter Milan, they wanted to sign him. They offered him like a crazy contract, way more than we could afford to pay him.
Yeah.
Then he said, nah, the only way I'm going to play for you guys is if you buy the club. And I thought that really stuck out to me, because like, you don't really see that kind of loyalty in sports anymore.
Yeah.
Like, especially from like superstar players.
Yeah, they just follow the money.
Exactly. There's no real incentive, but then like, I think it's refreshing every now and then to have a player like Paul Scholes that really does live and breathe the team that he plays for.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's probably my second.
All right.
pick.
So obviously anyone who knows me and anyone who's watching the Beancast as well knows basketball is a big part of my life. So improving in that is pretty important to me. And for a really, really long time, I had a completely broken jump shot. Elbow out, right in front of my, chest when I released it. It was disgusting. But I was kind of, I was probably lazy, but also like, man, it would take me so much effort at this point in my life to actually change my jump shot. But then I saw I saw one of the guys with an absolutely disgusting jump shot raise his percentages to just under 40%.
Sean Marion?
No, because his stayed disgusting. He didn't change anything. It just worked.
No, I'm just taking the piss. Go on.
No, you'll think I'm still taking the piss if I do mention this guy. But just watching the way that Draymond Green managed to actually, because he started averaging 14 points per game. And I knew this would happen. But that's not the only thing anyway.
Oh boy.
It just gave me motivation to actually try and change my jump shot. I'm not going to try and put a backpack on and shoot every single time.
Why not? Everyone does.
But the fact that he was able to go from 30% to 39% in a single season was like, hey.
No, I get you. Like the improvement that he showed.
You can do that too. Like you can, start to change. And so that really helped, because later on seasons, I can see that it's improved. And the other part of it was also that his personality around that time, especially, was something that I was able to take away from, because I think anyone during that who knew me during that time knew me because I talked a lot of shit on the court. Sorry for language.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, it really helped, because now
he definitely also adopted a lot more than Draymond's jump shot into his game.
Natural shooting motion. Natural jumping motion, sorry.
There are a lot of gene pools that will never be spread again due to Prad's basketball style.
But no, the important thing to me was that like now I've sort of been everything. I've been sort of every personality I could have been on the court. I've talked a lot of crap. I've been the one who stays quiet and does Lonzo Ball, would just walk away from the entire situation. But because I did get the opportunity to like see what that can do and put my personality out there, now when I see my like the most recent season, obviously guys, stay home, don't play basketball right now, don't get too close to anyone. But when I was playing, when we were most recently playing basketball, my team almost got into a fight, and it was good to know that now that I've been that guy and I've previously been the hothead, I know that I can keep my teammates from getting into it. You can
diffuse the situation.
Yeah. So just seeing him become relevant and also change his personality, well, not really change his personality, but help me develop a personality is pretty important for me.
Right. No, that's cool.
Good.
That's a great reason.
That's good.
Bill's next. Sorry, we have to follow the order.
Bill, pardon. But I just got him off this time.
Just mute him.
Wait, Bill, are you awake?
Yeah, I'm here. I am
Okay.
laying down, but
All right. So who did Prad just discuss? Just so that we're all on the same page.
Nah, I'm awake, bro. Come on. I laughed at his Draymond jump shot joke at the start. It wasn't a joke. I laughed.
Yeah. All right. Thank God
I'm-
we got video for my reaction on that one.
You would have done me justice, I'm sure. No, I'm following the NBA trend and also the sort of the loyalty trend. I'm going with probably the most underrated player in NBA history, somehow still underrated. Timmy D. Like as soon as this man came along to San Antonio, you
Timmy
just
D.
hear the
Oh, I thought he said Jimmy D.
Yeah, I thought you said Jimmy. D.
Jimmy D.
Jimmy Ducats. James
Jimmy
Darden.
D.
I thought he was gonna. Okay.
But not, yeah, Timothy with a T,
Yep.
D Unkin, D. Yeah, I think he just showed everybody you don't have to be that especially in the NBA. It's a lot of expression in terms of doing things, and Timmy was sort of just that low key. And I think that's probably almost why he's still underrated.
Well, what do you mean? He talked so much crap. Remember Kevin Garnett? He was saying, "Ooh, gotcha." Next time, nice
Hang
move.
No, I still think. Apparently, Timmy would be giving you tips on how to improve when you were playing him as well. I thought that'd be the most demoralizing thing ever.
Nah, but yeah, Timmy just exemplified, and he was very team oriented. Everything you hear about Pop, obviously it takes a great coach to win 5 rings, let alone 1 in the NBA. But Pop does attribute all of his success to Timmy. He says that everything that they do started with him. He was the one buying into everything and keeping everyone in check. And you see the videos, the Spurs heating up, Manu or Tony going to yell at people, and Timmy's the one pulling them away, not getting in the argument.
Diffusing the situation.
Yeah,
Well, he didn't diffuse much with Joey Crawford.
But I mean, look, when you're that bold and that old, someone just laughing would probably just set you off, right? You think they're just mocking you because you've got insecurity
Yeah, Jacob,
issues.
for context, Tim Duncan was sitting on the bench, so he's not on the court, and he was laughing at a certain call, or was it a missed free?
No, he was just laughing, right?
just
We're
laughing.
not sure what made him laugh.
Having a giggle.
And
Yeah.
he got technical fouls for that. 2 technical fouls, which got him kicked out of the game.
They ejected this dude for laughing.
Okay.
And that was the only time he got ejected. The man, I don't know, man. I think he just he seems to be the best teammate, the best person to coach. Just everything you hear about Timmy's positive, and then obviously he's coaching now. Obviously doing a super good job. Probably
100% winning, right? Because he coached 1 game.
I'm telling you, I reckon there's some serious dodginess going on in that Spurs front office, because you know how they kind of it's kind of similar with Paul Scholes, how Timmy would kind of take team discounts to stay with the Spurs and keep them competitive, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I reckon there's a little bit of paying him back for taking those discounts going on right now by offering him that front office role.
I mean, he's very smart in terms of basketball knowledge. So, I mean, even if they are, I don't think it's terrible.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I just thought it was funny.
So I also respect him also because he didn't care about how he looked. I mean, that I really appreciate that. He was comfortable in his own skin.
I mean, it's kind of easy when you're 7 feet tall and a multimillionaire.
Well, no, there's still a lot of insecure tall people in this world, whereas he's just
also a multimillionaire.
That's true. But the man was just yeah, I'm gonna rock up in super baggy clothes. That's a big thing to me as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
He wasn't afraid to be himself.
yeah. I really like that pick, Bill. That's a good one.
It's like Draymond Green. He's not afraid to be himself.
Sure. Jacob, you.
Oh, it's true.
All right. My next one is not the inventor of drift driving, but the person who popularized it, known as the Drift King DK or
Donkey Kong.
or Zadori Dori, is Keiichi Tsuchiya.
I wonder if you know how we roll it.
Well, actually, he was involved with Tokyo Drift.
I'm not.
He actually made a cameo. He was one of the fishermen when the main character was trying to learn how to drift.
So when you watched this, were you just like, whoa?
Well, I didn't realize who it was at first, obviously, because it came out so long ago,
Yeah.
right? I didn't even know who Keiichi was at that point. And then as I got into motorsport, or maybe even just car culture is probably a better way of putting it, I then watched it again and I was like, oh, I know him. He's like the guy of drifting.
Right.
And I explain, it's like the MJ of drifting. Like everybody knows who this guy is. If you're into drifting, you know who Keiichi is.
Right.
So he's not just a drift driver. He's also competed at Le Mans. He's done NASCAR and touring car as well. But yeah, it is most notable for drifting. Keiichi actually first learnt to drift on the mountain roads of Japan. So he was into illegal street racing, as even the guy who invented it was. Though maybe for Keiichi to a greater extent. So originally the idea of drifting was that with cars with the older technology, it was actually faster to go around those tight hairpins by drifting. Now with advancements with in cars, right? You don't need to do that. Like the clean line is still the best, right? But that's where drifting came from. So Keiichi was actually
kind of easier to stay. Well, it's kind of easier to keep your speed if you drift, though.
Yeah, I mean, especially with older cars as well.
Out of a
yeah. So Keiichi was actually part of the Fuji Freshman Race Series in 1977, but he was disqualified, or rather, he had his license revoked because of a video that came out called Pulseby.
Wait, how old is this guy?
He was born in 56.
So he was 21.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's an old,
So he's
old
probably
gentleman.
probably just a bit
middle-aged
than Jinx.
Yeah, he's middle-aged. And so he was about to compete, and then they took away his license because he featured in this video. I think it's called Pulseby, and that was it highlighted illegal street drifting in Japan, and Keiichi had a big part of it, and they said you can't be doing that. So he then, with the help, or rather, that actually may have been the catalyst for drift driving becoming an actual sport. Because in 1989, Keiichi, along with a magazine called Video Option, would host the first ever official drift competition. Although the format was different from it is today, I think it has to do with the amount of cars that are on. I think now most drifting is 1 versus 1 battle. I think then there was 5 people on the track.
Oh, wow.
I could be wrong. And since then, since Keiichi's involvement, since the push to make it a real sport in Japan, it's been recognized all over the world, Australia, Canada, and the US being a few countries that now recognize it as official motorsport. As far as I'm aware. I'm sure there's somebody in the comments going like, no, you idiot, it's not actually recognized. Yeah. And
Always some
then
idiot
there's
in it.
always some people like that. But yeah, so Keiichi would feature in Tokyo Drift. He also helped coordinate some of the stunts as well. Like he was like the go-to dude apparently. And he's also said to be the inspiration for the main character in Initial D.
Oh,
Takumi Fujiwara.
yeah.
And also the reason why they chose to use an 86, like a Toyota 86, because Keiichi, that's his car.
Yeah.
Like, he even has one even today, one of those old original 86s. So yeah.
Does he have a new one?
He does have a new one as well, but like he still prefers the old one as far as I'm aware. Something apparently the balance is the best. I don't know. So I just think that he was really cool how he sort of took, I don't know whether it was like this because there wasn't a lot of information, but it would seem to me that he took these circumstances where he was banned from driving in a professional series and then just spent more time doing something else. Like he spent more time drifting and eventually made it an actual motorsport.
Right. No, that's
cool.
really cool.
Yeah.
He basically, there's
He
a
made the best of a bad situation.
progenitor of drifting. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Damn.
Damn.
That's deep, boys.
Yeah.
Anyone else got anything to add?
Anyone got any more shout outs? Because I got I guess one more I could mention.
I just a quick shout out to Boris Diaw.
Oh, of course.
Quick shout out for me to Paul Pierce as well. It was relatively close between him and Scalzi, but not really. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out Paul Pierce as well for the same reason.
Yeah, quick shout out to Big Boy because he helped Scotty a lot during his times to help him carry the channel.
Wait, when you say Big Boy, do you mean
That's his nickname.
Oh, I was gonna say like the Outcast.
It's his nickname.
I guess I'll mention esports player C9. Hi. His name is Hi. His gamer name.
Yeah, I
is
thought
Hi.
Pratty was actually like just introducing himself to this player real quick.
No, because this guy while he was still competitive in the league, he suffered a collapsed lung, started playing through a injured wrist as well, which is like devastating for a esports player.
Damn.
Was still competitive and was still supporting newer teams towards the end of his career. Was just a really great leader for a long time. Really impressive to see, and now he's close to becoming an analyst. So
Wow.
yeah.
Let's hope esports analysts are better than NBA analysts. And on that note, take care, everyone. Stay
We
safe.
look at you, Kendrick Perkins.
Kendrick Perkins was on there too.
Guys,
Actually, if you guys have a sports person that you would like for us to talk about, make sure you do send us a DM on Instagram at NBA Beancast.
or you can hit us up on our email at NBA
NBA Beancast.
at gmail.com. Nice and simple.
If you swing that way.
Whatever your preferences, guys. So hope you guys stay safe. Catch you guys for the next one.